The greatest mistake you can make in life is to be continually fearing that you will make one. Elbert Hubbard. My friends, each and every day we make our mistakes in our practice trading. And again, when you get good at that with your paper trading, I want you to switch over to fractional trading. What is that? That's small dollar amount trades where, again, you practice and get good and prove to yourself that it's really happening. You're so easy to delude yourself and to have that confirmation bias and think you know what you're doing when you really don't. And again, even when you are a seasoned trader, the way that I practice new things when I find something interesting and I want to try it is I use a small dollar amount. Depending on how big your X trade is, it could be a tenth of that. If you're used to trading $100,000, maybe it's a $10,000 trade. If you're trading 50, maybe it's a $5,000 or even a $500 trade. So again, small dollar amounts. Now, just learning, I usually say $100. And if you've got a online broker that allows you to buy, say, fractional shares, you don't have to buy an entire share of the S&P 500, then of course you can give that a shot. But let's jump into these charts. We see stocks and bonds are up, along with Bitcoin. Gold is the only downer, and it's pulling back really strong. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But my friends, as we start the week, check out the S&P 500. It is a jamming up as we start the week. 1.18%. It's the Qs that's up 1.78, but 1.18. We can see where things are up in the morning. It looks like it pumped up a little higher in the afternoon, but look, very little volume. As we look at the volume on the half-day chart, you can see that it has been substantially down, way down. We look at where we are on the first day of the latest 2-day candle. Again, price was up, but volume low, not even up to half of the average. And of course, we look on the weekly and it's weak also. Price moving in the right direction. We want to see volume flow with that so that the volume's backing up the price move so you don't have the floor pulled out from under you. That is where we are on the S&P. Again, still going in the right direction. As we look at the directional probability, it is good. Backtest accuracy is fine. We go to the NASDAQ. We also have decent directional probability, decent backtest accuracy. We are still strong and long on these charts. But again, just keep saying, hey, keep watching, keep waiting, keep riding it as it continues to move up. But get cautious the higher and higher it goes. What is going to happen to kill this? Or is it just going to push on through to Christmas? We'll wait, we'll watch, we'll see. We'll ride it as long as the riding is good. Now, 1.78%. We can see where things popped up in the morning, a little further in the afternoon. Volume, unlike the S&P, volume on the NASDAQ was good. Look at that, average and above average in the afternoon. Volume looks good on the 2-day. Again, starting the week off, we've got 5 days to get up to the average. We'll see how the week continues to progress, but Monday starts off nice and strong. What about 20-year U.S. government bonds going into a 5th week with green candles? Now, we've not reached that high prior. We can see we had a doji on the Thursday, Friday of last week. The Monday, a doji here. We can see where things started moving down Thursday morning, Friday into Monday morning, and then up a little bit, 0.34%. We had decent volume in the morning on average, a little higher average as things peaked up in the afternoon. Still have a doji there on the 2-day though. Volume's a little weak on the 2-day. So again, we'll keep an eye on things. This red volume only means that all it ever means on our charts, when you see a red volume metric, that just means that it opened lower than the prior close. Green means it opened higher than the prior close. Again, just another little clue as to what's happening. It doesn't mean negative volume. Don't be fooled by that. But again, we see 20-year U.S. government bonds moving up but not reaching the high. of last week. You can see where things moved up, stayed there the Tuesday, Wednesday, and then down Thursday and Friday, and only popping up on Monday afternoon. So we're keeping an eye on the price here. Price is still above the weekly trend line on the 2-day and the half-day, but there is some weakness there. What about gold? Whew! Gold, after going, it has rolled over. We saw that starting to happen on the 2-day chart last Tuesday. On the Tuesday, you can see, remember when it was just hammered out, was it 6-something%? And then, of course, on into Wednesday morning, trying to recover, moving up the trend line. And then starting on Friday, busting through it with dojis. And then hammering down on Monday morning in particular. Might have recovered a little bit in the afternoon. Let's see, what was the low in the morning? 365.34, 366.65. So yeah, but ended the day down 2.78%. We can see okay volume there. Lots of volume in the morning, slacking off in the afternoon. Has breached the trend line on all three of our charts, the weekly included. So there is some real weakness in gold after that nice run up. Now, maybe gold will be making some recovery, but when you pop through the trend line that hard, it's going to take a lot to recover. That initial inertia that just continued to build, that balloon has been popped. So you've got a lot of weight now pushing gold down. It has been a nice run up. We'll see how gold resets. But we have, particularly in the math on our 5-day plus ETF trading analysis and execution plan, you will see that we are down decently on gold, more than a coin toss. Not as high as we are moving up in the S&P and the NASDAQ, but for Patreon members, you'll see the figures there in the trade execution summary grid, which of course we send out to you as soon as we get it done right after the market closes. So that's where we are. If you want that on a daily basis, you need to become a Patreon member. Again, starts at $30. First thing you get is my latest book. That is Three-Wave Trading Advantage and our 3-part series, Options Made Simple, The Charting Wealth Way, if you're interested in learning about how to practice trade options. Now, lastly, we will look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin a-cranking, folks. Look at what it did in the morning. Ended the day up almost 4%. I mean, it started moving up, of course, last Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon. Friday, we saw green candles, really slacked off in the afternoon, it looks like. And then, of course, just getting its energy up through the weekend and banging up as we see on Monday, almost 4%. Has slammed through that weekly trend line on both the half-day, the 2-day, and the weekly after those 2 down weeks. So like the opposite that occurred with gold popping through after going up, Bitcoin is popping through after going down, although we see that down movement slowed last week because we had a smaller candle, didn't reach the low that week beginning the 13th. You can see where that low on the 2-day candle occurred on the Friday. And then if we look, we see on Friday where things really hammered down and then turned around on Monday, popped up, then lost it, then sideways moving up, and then really hammered up strong on Monday. That is where we are, folks, as we end the day on Monday. Get ready to go into Tuesday. Again, I will have that training on fractional shares attached at the end of this video. If you're not seeing it yet, you'll see it in just a few seconds. Take that if you want to understand what I mean by the next step after paper trading and how you can practice new techniques and not take a lot of risk, but keep yourself honest. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth.